Hello, beautiful people. Welcome to HerJourney2Self Podcast. My name is Tamara and I am your host. Welcome back for another episode. We have discussed a lot this season. We spoke about how to affirm ourselves in truth. We spoke about having radical self-love, about shame, really letting shame out of our lives, stop allowing it to control us. We spoke about joy and how do we find that in difficult moments. We spoke about reclaiming beauty. We spoke about healing the inner child and why that is so important. We spoke about taking inventory of your life. We discussed perfectionism and how that is rooted in insecurity. Today, I want to talk about healing, the cost of healing, because there is a cost. I think we often imagine healing as this wonderful, marvelous, beautiful, joyful experience. It reminds me of like those tampon commercials where the women are just basking in a field of daisies, dancing, just enjoying life, beautiful music playing in the background. And while we can get there and we can experience those moments, that is so far from the truth. I wish that my healing journey looks like me in an open field of green grass, tall, beautiful flowers just blowing in the wind, some neo soul instrumental music playing in the background, maybe a very nice, calming voice narrating as everything takes place. Oh, that would be amazing. Wouldn't that be beautiful? I think the reality is what scares so many of us from taking the first step of healing, of actually going on a healing journey, because it can be messy. It can be hard. And sometimes, this is the worst. Sometimes it seems like it's getting worse before it gets better. Have you ever gone to therapy and you walk away from your first session like, what have I gotten myself into? Why? Why do I feel like I would have been better off had I not started therapy? If you've ever done a detox, especially if you're starting this new health regimen, maybe you are letting go of sugar. You're like, you know what, sugar, you and I are breaking up. Cold turkey. Done. Maybe that first day you're all right. The second day, you start to have like withdrawal symptoms. You're like, what is going on? You're getting a headache. You don't feel good. You just feel sick. And you're like, man, maybe me and sugar are supposed to be best friends. Maybe I need to let sugar back into my life. That's how you start to feel. Because the truth of the matter is, you're starting to let all of that toxic, that negative residue come to the surface. It has to come out. It has to come out. I think we don't realize in the beginning that when we want healing, we have to go through a process. And that stuff has to come up before it goes out. We tuck away so many things, so many words that people have said to us, so many experiences that we have had. We try to repress those experiences. Sometimes we ignore something for so long that we forget that it's there. It's not that it isn't there. Oh, it's there. But we have tried so hard for so many years to forget about it, that once it's time to confront it, once it's time to open up that closet door where you have just been throwing things in day after day, year after year, it's just been piling up. You open that door, it's an explosion. Everything comes tumbling out. That's healing. That is what healing looks like. That is what healing feels like. I remind myself that I acknowledge that life is not easy and that I don't always get it right, but that I am trying. That's the affirmation for today. I acknowledge that life is not easy and that I don't always get it right, but that I am trying and that I'm going to commit to healing, that I'm going to commit to laying it all at the Lord's feet and saying, here it is. Now heal me. When I was a child, I don't even know how old I was, maybe 12 or somewhere around there. It had to have been summer because we were all at home. I have three other siblings, and I believe it was my younger brother. It was probably my younger brother that I was fighting with. So my older sister was watching all of us, of course. And we had been, I don't know, arguing all day. Who knows over what, being children. So I believe later on that day, I go into my bedroom that I shared with my older sister, and I find all of my clothing has been taken out of my drawers and thrown on the floor. I knew who did it. I said, oh, okay. So I went to the boys' room and I proceeded to open up all of his drawers and take all of his clothes out and throw them on the floor. Now, of course, my older sister, she's in charge of all of us. She comes into the room. Tamara, stop it. Tamara, stop it. And I'm not stopping because he did this to me first. So as I am pulling shirts and pants and socks out of the drawer, throwing them on the floor, my sister is picking them up, throwing them back inside the drawer. Tamara, stop it. Tamara, stop it. So then she got fed up, right? And she picked up something, I don't know, a shirt or something. And she hit me with it. She said, Tamara, stop it. And I must have been so upset. I must have been so enraged that my reaction was I swung around, and as I swung around, I did not hit her, but my hand hit her arm as I swung around. And then crack, my little pinky just bent all out of shape. And I screamed, "You broke my finger!" And then I ran out of the room. Oh my goodness. Of course, we called my father. So he came home, upset, of course, took me to the emergency room. And another funny part about this story is when the doctor was asking, what happened, I lied. Sorry, Lord. I lied and said, oh, me and my brother were playing around, or me and my sister were playing around. And yeah, when I turned my hand hit her arm, then my finger snapped. So then the doctor goes out the room, comes back in, and my dad looked at me and he was like, I thought you said y'all were fighting. And I didn't say anything, but as a child, you do things or you say things and you think that what you have done or what you said is the right thing, and you don't understand why your parent doesn't understand that. Because in my mind, my 12-year-old or however old I was, in my mind, I'm thinking, oh, I don't want to tell the doctor that I was fighting with my sibling because I don't want to get my parents in trouble. I don't want them to call the police. I don't want them to call child protective services and just think that we come from an unfit home or something. This is what I was thinking. Why was I thinking that? No idea. I probably watched too many dramas as a child. That's probably the reason why. But anyway, so the doctor comes back in and he says, oh, it's just a sprain. Now, mind you, my pinky is it's just bent out of shape. It's crooked. And I'm like, what? I'm thinking it's just broken. It's broke. Okay. But he said, oh, it's just a spray. So as I grabbed my father's hand, the doctor takes my pinky and he snaps it back into place. And I let out an almost silent gasp. And the doctor looks at me and he's like, oh, you handle pain very well. Anyway, so he wraps it up and he sends us on our merry way. So once I'm home, I cannot sleep in my top bunk bed. I have to camp out in the living room on the sofa. I have to rest my hand on a pillow that is sitting on the coffee table. I don't know how long my recovery was. It was probably about 2 weeks, something like that. Of course, I was limited to what I could do. Thankfully, it was my left hand and not my right hand because my right hand is dominant, so I could still write. But, I was still limited with what I could do. So it was uncomfortable. But I had to go through that process. I had to allow my pinky to heal in order to see recovery on the other side. That's what healing is. It's time consuming. It's uncomfortable. You may not be able to do the things that you were doing before. You may not be able to go to the places that you were going before. Sometimes you don't need to do or go to those places once you have recovered. Healing costs. Sometimes it can cost you your relationships. Maybe those relationships don't need to move forward with you into your recovery season, into your recovered season. It may hurt while you are healing. You may have to tend to some things. I had to tend to those bandages while I was healing. Sometimes it may feel like it's not working. You may feel like you want to give up. You want to throw in the towel. You're like, forget this. What's the point? Now, God can do anything in an instant, in a moment. But isn't it so interesting that oftentimes in the Bible, when someone is healed, this is something that they have walked with for a long time. I think going through a healing process builds our character. It strengthens our faith and it pushes us to lean on God. I cannot mention healing without mentioning God because God is the one that heals. Her journey to self has been a healing process. And something very interesting. A couple of months ago, I started to think, do I need to change the title of my podcast? Because I wanted to be very certain that the message that I was sending was not that I am a healer and I am healing myself. No, because I follow God and God is my healer. But I know that faith without works is dead. So there is some working that I have to do and that I have to choose God. I have to receive from God. But then I have just been constantly reassured that this journey, my journey, is a true journey because I have learned over and over again that my journey to self is really my journey to God because I know that I am God's creation. So getting back to my true self, getting back to the self that I have always been purposed for is getting to God because I come from Him. The journey is taking me to who He has called me to be. When He spoke me into existence, when He knew me in my mother's womb, before the plague of insecurities, before the destruction of limiting beliefs. Who am I? I'm who God says I am. Listen, Sometimes healing can look and it can feel really ugly, but there is so much beauty in being healed. So thank you so much for tuning in for another episode. I hope you've been encouraged. Until next time, peace, love, and light. Catch up on recent episodes. Common idea of beauty, this surface level understanding, can leave you searching and seeking in all the wrong places. You want validation. So you try to turn yourself into this image, into this idol, so that you can be perceived a certain way, so that you can be accepted. I opened this season with an understanding of affirming yourself and truth. And really that understanding came from thinking about beauty. What does beauty mean to me? How do I see beauty portrayed in the world? And if you go back and listen or watch that episode, I mentioned how you have to define beauty for yourself. God says that we are fearfully and wonderfully made. We are God's creation, and that is the only standard of beauty that we need. Her Journey to Self Podcast is produced by 7 Sweet Studios. I am intentional. I release shame and its hold on me. I practice gratitude. I honor my body. I am not defined by my mistakes. I give what I desire to receive. I am learning to love myself radically. I receive what is for me. I affirm myself in truth. Order your copy of Daily Affirmations for the Soul at affirmandflowdaily.com. Her Journey to Self merch has arrived. Show your support and join the movement of purpose, passion, and healing. Get ready to journey and be empowered to share your testimony. Shop now at tamarajmorris.com.